What's up, guys? We are back. This is the Death Notes podcast. I'm Sydney,
I'm Larry.
and we're coming to you guys at a rough time in the country. And there's a lot of things going on: coronavirus, black people getting killed in the streets for no reason, people from Vanderpump Rules getting fired. I mean, it's a terrible day, terrible day.
I like how you
in,
added
in,
the
the,
Vanderpump.
in the world of America. But it is what it is. You get what you get. But we're back, guys. This is our second episode. If you heard the first one, if you did, if you're one of the 35 people who actually listened to it, then welcome back. We're bringing you another hard hitting episode with some great music, and we're gonna get right into it. As you guys know, each week or each other week, me and Larry give ourselves different albums to listen to that we love, and then we talk about them. So today, Larry's going to go first, and he has an album he wants to talk about that I listened to. And take it away, Larry. What album did you prescribe to me as my homework?
It was Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire.
Yes, Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
Nice. So I mean, this wasn't my first time hearing this album, but this was, I would say, the first time I listened to it like for educational purposes, I guess, because I haven't. This isn't my favorite Rage Against the Machine album, so I'll just say it up front. But I definitely listened to it probably about 4 or 5 times. It's such a short album. But yeah, man, what made you want to pick this? I mean, I know we both talked about doing music based on the times we're in right now, which is basically stuff that's like music albums that are like political and talk about things happening in the country. But what do you think about Rage? Why did you want to listen to this album?
So here's the thing. Evil Empire is a really good example of blending, multiple genres.
Mm-hmm.
It's got hip hop and R&B, and then it's got punk and rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to me, they were one of the bands in the 90s that just merged those genres together so well when other people after them tried to copy it, but nobody did it quite as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you hear certain songs on this album, you're like, that's a hip hop song.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's full blown, like the song Without a Face. It's a hip hop song.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I really like about this album is that it's heavy, but it's not heavy like normal albums with guitar plastered all over it. It's really the bass and the drums are heavy. That's what makes that album heavy, because there's not a lot of distortion on the guitars. They're actually pretty classic rock sounding on when they are just doing normal like chords and stuff.
Yeah.
But the bass and drums is super groovy, super heavy, and it's just really like colossal sounding. And another thing I got to say about this album is that Brendan O'Brien produced it and Andy Wallace mixed it.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys literally collectively did every good album from the 90s. I mean, Pearl Jam, White Zombie, freaking Wallflowers, like anything that was on the radio in the 90s was produced by Brendan O'Brien and mixed by Andy Wallace. And that shows on the album because it sounds really good.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's just one of those albums. Plus, when I first heard that album, it definitely opened my eyes. Like I had listened to like punk, like Black Flag. I'd listen to hip hop, but this album really opened my eyes to like how so many genres are fighting for the same causes.
Yeah.
And also, dude, the lyrics on this album are like the 90s version of Bob Dylan. I mean, they are super, they're super in your face political, and they're definitely talking shit about all the right things.
Yeah, no, I think that a lot of their music in general, just the whole band, but definitely this album, it reminded me a lot of like early Public Enemy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which I was listening to actually recently, a Public Enemy album, but it's very in your face what they're talking about. They're not hiding what they're saying, and they're just blatantly saying, fuck the government and all these things, which is really cool, because they are like a bunch of minority dudes to my knowledge, right? I don't know if they all are, but the lead singer definitely is
lead singer, guitar player, and drummer.
Right.
Bass player looks Caucasian, but who knows,
Right, you never know. But yeah, man, I mean, this album was awesome, dude. I mean, I definitely have my favorites on it. And my favorite Rage album is the first one. Um,
Really?
yeah, and honestly, it's mixed because I'll be completely honest, because of the cover art. Like I remember the album of the cover album of the cover
The
art of the
first one,
album. Yeah, the first one was
The
just
Burning Monk.
yeah, it was just so powerful to me. I don't know. I mean, that's still a powerful image to me.
It is, yeah.
And and I love the song "Kill in the Name." That's like one of my favorite Rage songs. But this album, man, I mean, after listening to it, I haven't heard it since like back in the day. I haven't listened to. I'll be honest, Rage isn't like a band I listen to like all the time. It's just whenever I hear their music, it's almost like it amps me up. You know, like it's good
Hmm.
music to just get hyped and want to fight to, which is great because I love the type of music. But I haven't listened to this one in a really long time, so it was good to put it on and listen to it for a few days. We actually were supposed to record days ago, but I wanted to listen to the album more times just to have it like in me. But yeah, man. I mean, I think it's really dope. I mean, the music on there is fantastic. It's really they hit you in your face with their shit, dude.
It does. And you know what's really
Packs a
interesting
wallet.
about that album?
Yeah.
They even put in the inside cover when I had the old tape and CD. It
Mhm.
said, no synthesizers, no drum machines. Everything on that album is just
Mhm.
guitar, bass, drums, and vocals. Like there's
Right.
no technology. And people that blows a lot of people away because they hear a lot of stuff and go, oh, it sounds like a DJ scratch and that sounds like a synthesizer. It's all Tom Morello doing weird shit on guitar.
Right.
Like
No, for sure.
he never wants his guitar to sound like a guitar, which I think is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I mean, that's definitely most people just want their guitars to sound like awesome guitars, and he's like, nope, I want my shit to sound like something different,
Yeah, I mean, he does
which
all
is
that.
always cool.
I mean, what's cool about Rage is he pulls the cord out of his guitar and just
Hmm.
slams it into the strings to make it make,
Yeah,
static and shit. And I think
yeah,
that's just like the most punk rock thing ever.
yeah.
I'm
I
not even
remember.
gonna play.
No, I know it's crazy. I remember one of my fondest memories of these guys is the what was it, the MTV Awards stunt
Oh god,
where
where the
what
bass
call him?
player climbed
Yeah,
the
he climbed up like to us, I guess it was like a lighting tree. I don't even know what it was. It
it's
was
like
some
a
type
big
of set prop.
spinning globe or something.
It was like
Outside
a
he did it.
it was like no, it was inside. It was like a big. It was like to my knowledge, it's like what do we use like hang lights on when we're like in the back of the room? Those truss. To me, it was like a
Trust, yeah.
long truss tower, I think,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think he just climbed up it and just went kind of crazy. I think when somebody else was on stage, can't remember who it was. Was it
And
Coolio or
then
something? I don't know who was on stage. I can't remember.
I don't know. Was it Marilyn Manson and Eminem?
It was. I think it was. I think it was Marilyn Manson. I think you're right.
And I think later that evening he climbed the big Universal Studios globe or some globe that was spinning outside and got arrested for it.
Yeah, it's possible. He definitely got arrested. That was crazy.
He was just like, you know what, I'm done with this show.
Yeah, it was. He's just. I mean, well, nobody's had more fun at a award show than that guy did.
Right.
But yeah, it was pretty. That's one of my fondest memories of Rage Against the Machine, and also obviously the ending song for The Matrix, which which is also one of my favorite
What's
Rage
that? Wake
songs.
up.
Wake Up. Yep,
Yeah, it's a good song.
freaking Wake Up, which is awesome. Um, yeah, man. I mean, there's so much. There's so much about these guys that's just they're fantastic. And "Wake Up" was also on the song on on the first album. Yeah, but well, I guess I can go through and say what some of my favorite songs are from
Yeah.
this. All right, so I think off the top, my favorite song on the album is "Year of the Boomerang,"
Nice.
um, which is the final song on the album, and I think it's like really long if I can remember. Um,
Yeah, it is.
right, so I think it's like well, no, it's not that long. Which song is really long? I think it's there's a song on there that I think is like 7 8 minutes. I can't remember which one it is.
Mm,
Um, but anyway, you're the boomerang. I just love everything about that song, and it's one of those songs I think that kind of starts off pretty slow and then kind of rocks out to the end if I can remember well enough.
yeah, it's got a big ending, I believe.
Yeah, it has a huge ending, which is a great closing song, and again I think they did great with this album because they have a big bombastic ending song and they have a really great opening song with "People of the Sun,"
Oh yeah,
which is also a tune I really love. Which I mean, that song is just a great intro song for a band. Like I always love good intro songs. It just gets you ready for the album. Like
I agree.
when you hear a good intro song, it just gets you ready. You're like, okay, I know what I'm dealing with. These dudes are not fucking around. and they're hitting us hard, and we're gonna rock out. And that's basically, this
Which
whole album is like nonstop rocking out, man. Like every song is just they're rapping, they're playing they're playing their music fucking hard, and it just rocks, man. It's really good.
what's really funny about People of the Sun and how the album starts
Hmm.
is this album literally starts with Tom Morello taking an Allen wrench and
Hmm.
scratching it on his strings.
Really
Yeah,
nice.
that's how he made that sound. And
That's how they make a sound.
the funny thing about it is like, what album could you think of that starts with like an Allen wrench?
I have no idea. It's pretty cool though. Yeah,
It's
that's cool, man.
hilarious.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's see. I also like I loved Down Rodeo,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
a
really
good
cool.
one.
Which I thought was also funny for like right now, seeing how like Rodeo Drive is like
Hmm.
when I say rodeo, I mean Rodeo, but how like Rodeo Drive right now is being overrun by people looting and rioting and protesting and shit,
Yep.
which is really cool because I like this song is perfect talking about walking down Rodeo with a shotgun, which is
Hmm.
kind of insane but cool.
That's the song that says your people haven't seen a brown skinned man since their grandparents owned one.
Yes, that's exactly that song.
Such a
Yeah,
good line, dude. That
so
line,
dope. I know.
fuck.
Yeah, it's so
Like,
dope.
see, that's what I mean by the Bob Dylan thing, because that is
Hmm.
such a profound line.
Yeah, no, dude. What he's saying in these songs, I'm sure he wrote all the lyrics. I don't know if he had like a ghostwriter or anything.
Oh no, he wrote it all.
Yeah, but his lyrics are so cool, man. Because sometimes it's like really like '90s vibe with what they're saying, almost like Limp Bizkit or Linkin Park in a tone, because both of those guys kind of took from these guys. I feel.
Oh, definitely stole. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
shit.
But
Yeah.
but but the stuff that he was saying was like so on point, dude,
Hmm.
and so good, and that's where you get like the KRS-One and like the
Yep.
Public Enemy, and like you can tell that he has those hip hop, old school hip hop
Oh,
uh
definitely.
back ways, because it's like he's like, listen, if I'm a rap, I know I'm not, you know, a black dude's gonna call out here and just flow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make my shit make sense, be incredibly in the now, but also flow well and just hit the beats to the rhythm. And it's really good, dude. I mean, he's a hell of a rapper, man. I'm pretty sure he never gets enough credit for being a rapper, because they're, basically like a rock band or grunge band, whatever you want to call them.
Oh no, he
But
does. He does.
he does. Well,
Oh
that's
yeah,
cool.
because it's funny what you just said. Okay, so you do you know about Prophets of Rage, right? That
Yeah.
the band plays with Public Enemy in
Hmm.
Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
Well, Zach De La Roca released a song recently with KRS-One.
Oh, recently?
Yep, and he also is featured on one of the most popular Run the Jewels tracks.
Yeah, I know for sure.
Um, and he had a hip hop album in production that never
Hmm.
came out with like different people. I think like Dan the Automator was involved. All these people were involved, and
Yeah.
it never came out. But yeah, I think back in the day he didn't get enough clout
Hmm.
as a rapper and lyricist, but now I do think he does. You know what I mean? Because now he's
Yeah.
getting all these guest spots and stuff.
Oh, for sure. That's yeah. I mean, I think now it's definitely like people are probably giving him a credit, like you said, because for you to be like with KRS-One rapping and stuff like that, I mean, if that dude's like backing you, then obviously people in the hip hop industry are going to give you some credit.
Yeah, and the song's good. It's really good.
I gotta check it out, dude. I
You
haven't heard it.
do. It's
I'm
a
gonna check
damn
it
good
out.
song.
Nice. So cool, man. I mean, Rage is awesome, dude. They've inspired, so many different people. Obviously, I said like Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park, but I mean, System of a Down, I think sounds, has their sound a little bit. We just talked about Run the Jewels. I mean, Run the
Yeah.
Jewels, I think, is influenced by those guys as well. I mean,
You
there's
said
some,
Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park, which are definitely
yep,
on my list.
absolutely.
Oh, and
Um,
Fever 3-3.
yeah, man, Fever
Fever
3-3.
333.
Slipknot, I feel like is a little
Oh,
bit
yeah.
of
Oh,
Rage.
yeah. Yep.
I mean, anybody that kind of has that
90s.
cool '90s aesthetic,
Mhm.
where it's like the lead singer is kind of rapping and everybody's in the back playing their instruments, and
Mhm.
that's basically like Rage kind of started that shit. So
Korn
it's
too, man, especially with the weird trying to make your guitar sound like a DJ stuff.
absolutely.
They stole that from him. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
even though Rage was a few years before them, and I mean,
Hmm.
I know it wasn't like 10 years before, but dude, you
Hmm.
can tell. Like, you can just tell.
Of
Like,
course, dude. I
Rage were
mean,
the
you can
first ones
definitely
to do
tell.
that,
Yeah,
you know?
no, for sure, dude. So yeah, man. I mean, it's good. Do anything else you want to add to that? I mean, I think I really love the album, and I'm glad you suggested it because again, that was a good pick. Because if you would have picked the first album, which is like my favorite album, it would have just been like a because that's probably the album whenever I want to listen to Rage I go to. So it was cool to kind of go back and listen to this one and
Yeah.
really appreciate all the music and shit. So
Did you have a least favorite song on the album?
yeah, I would say probably my least favorite song. Hold on, really quick. Let me just go and check. My least favorite song was probably Viet
Oh my
which is
god, that's one of my favorite songs.
oh, I'm sorry, man. It was
It's okay.
probably Viet Now. If I'm
It's
just
a
looking
weird
at
song.
if I'm looking at the tracks right now,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
number
because
3.
it's number three. So yeah, I love People of the Sun. I love Bulls on Parade. I love Revolver. Maybe Snake Charmer. Yeah,
My other favorite song.
I wasn't. Oh man, we're still in disagreement on this. But definitely Down Rodeo. Like in my head, I'm thinking over the songs that really stuck out to me, and the ones that didn't are probably the ones I didn't care too much for. Um, but yeah, I think definitely Vietnam. I don't know. I think after Bulls on Parade, I don't know. It might have been the placement of the song on the album. It just didn't fit right with
Could
me for
be.
some reason. Yeah,
Vietnam's a weird
but
song.
it's
I
cool.
agree.
Yeah, it's cool. But yeah, I mean, other than that, man, I mean, it's 11 tracks, which I love listening to these old albums because they're
Short,
short and sweet,
to
under
the
an
point.
hour. Yeah, I mean, under an hour, almost half an hour, most of them.
Yep.
Um, the songs aren't 8 9 minutes long. Maybe one in a bunch, but the most part they're like 2 3 minutes,
Yep.
and they don't mess around, man. They get to what they need to get to, and they move on to the next track. It's really good.
I agree. I'm a big fan of that. I like albums that are long when I'm in that mood, but
Yeah.
it feels like albums are getting longer and longer and longer, and there's more
Oh yeah.
filler tracks on them.
Yeah, nowadays there's so
I
many
mean,
tracks on albums, and I mean, if it's warranted, if you have the music and it's good music, I mean, but most people just add
they
music
just throw in shit.
because they have it. I think the art of putting an album together and picking tracks, precisely to what it need to be is like lost in my opinion. From everything I listen to today, I would say the only one of the few people, two people, and both of these guys hip hop artists that I feel like really pick their music good for their albums is like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole because I feel like they're especially Kendrick Lamar because it seems like his albums are really thought out in my opinion as far
I
as just
agree.
he's not just picking music that he makes and like yeah just drop this here, just drop this there, just give the
What's
people
that
more. He's
album?
like
Is it To Pimp a Butterfly?
which one are you talking? What song is on it?
Is it Kendrick Lamar? Is that an album? To
Yeah,
Pimp?
that's definitely his album.
Yeah, that I think that album's laid out really well.
Hell yeah, man. His last one was too the one called Damn. That's like a what
I
I
like that
consider
album
that's
also.
a perfect album. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's a lost art, man.
it is. And back in the day, I don't know how much this happens now, but back in
Hmm.
the day, bands would go in the studio and write like so much music for like a year.
Right.
And then the producer and then would pick through it and they'd only pick the strongest ones to work on.
Hmm.
They'd record demos and that still happens, but I feel like more artists today are having trouble coming up with lots of material because we live in a society it's very quick now.
Yeah, I agree.
So they come up with 15 tracks and they put out 14. And you're like, is the first 15 songs you wrote really that good? Like,
I know, dude.
is that
I know.
really putting work in? I mean, I don't know, man.
I don't know, man. I think they feel like the more music they put out on the album,
The
the
more
less
plays they're going to get.
the more plays it's going to get, and also just the less it can be picked at. Because if you put out an album with like 10 songs on it, then those 10 songs have to be amazing.
They
Because
have to
if
stand. Yeah.
yeah, because if they're not, then your album's going to be shit. But if you put out an album with like 18 songs on it, and 15 or 16 of those are songs, and the rest are like intros or
Uh
skits or
huh.
whatever, then people will have like a wider variety, I guess, to pick on whether or not your album is good or not. Which is, I don't know. I guess that's like being like a pussy, like just pick your favorite, pick your best songs, put those on the album, dude. Like just fucking
Yeah.
do it.
And I
Bro.
mean, the
It's weird.
intros and little skits and stuff are cool, but
Yeah,
don't put them on there just to get a play.
I agree.
Like on another track. Like they
I
should have
agree,
a
man.
point with the album?
Exactly. It should make sense. An album should be one fluid thing. You should be able to go through from track one to whatever the ending track song is and feel
Without
like you're
skipping.
listening. Yeah, without skipping and feel like you're listening to one continuous thing.
Agreed.
Um, which we'll be talking about in our next album, which I
Oh
think
my god.
this guy kind of did that. But
Yes, he
yeah,
did.
anything else you want to say about Rage, man? I think I'm
No.
good.
Mm-mm.
They're an awesome band.
Yep.
They weren't together for too long. They broke up, then they got back together. Then
Now they're back
one,
together again.
now they're back together again. It was supposed to be going on.
$800 concert
It was
tickets.
supposed to be going on tour, but then coronavirus happened, and we probably definitely would have got tickets if they came here or came close, probably because that would have
Not
been
for $800.
no, definitely not $800. That would have been ridiculous. But if they would have been reasonable, we definitely probably would have went.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, man. So there you go, guys. Rage Against the Machine. If you like them, check out all their music, which you probably have if you're listening to this podcast, and check out Evil Empire because it's a cool looking little album cover, which I think is why you like it, Larry, because the guy kind of looks like you on the
what?
cover. Looks like he needed some glasses, dude. He'll be you.
They just put out a story about that guy where he is
Hmm.
now, the kid.
Really, the kid?
Yeah, it's a painting his dad did,
Yeah.
and it's like I don't think it had any relation to the band, and they were looking
Hmm.
for artwork, and they just bought it from him.
That's
It's just some
hilarious.
kid,
Just some random kid, huh?
just some kid whose dad painted him, and it was like, all right, yeah, we're gonna buy this, and he's like, all right. So they interviewed him recently. I was like, what the
Hmm.
shit? I didn't
That's
think it was
fucking
a
funny.
real kid. Like,
That's hilarious. Real kid, man. They do exist. What can you say? All right, man. Cool. So we'll get back to Rage later, I guess, at the end. But now we'll get to the album I chose for you, man. And everybody out there, I chose Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On." Basically, Marvin Gaye's. I think it's 1971 or 72 when his album came out.
70, yeah, well, 71 or 72.
Yeah. But if you guys don't know who Marvin Gaye is, you can turn the podcast off for one thing. But I'll give you a quick little synopsis of it. So Marvin Gaye was an American singer, songwriter, and record producer. He helped to shape the sound of Motown in the 1960s, first as an in-house session player and later as a solo artist with a string of hits, earning him the nicknames Prince of Motown and Prince of Soul. He made, songs like "Heard Through the Grapevine" and "Let's Get It On" and "What's Going On," which is the album we're going to be talking about today. And his life was kind of shortened. He died on his 45th birthday from being fatally shot by his dad, which is crazy. Marvin Gaye is actually, when I think about doing biopics for people who like are celebrities or were living, he's the one person I would want to do a biopic on because for one, I've never seen anything on him before, and I think that are you there, Larry?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, I was wondering, but yeah, so yeah, Marvin Gaye's the one guy that I always want to do like a biopic on because I know his story really well. He's literally like my favorite singer of all time. He's my favorite singer of all time. I would say Michael Jackson is probably my favorite artist of all time. But as far as singing goes, Marvin Gaye has that on lock. And I think his life was so crazy, and died tragically by being shot by his
Hmm.
dad. And I just think it would be a cool movie to
Oh,
kind
it
of
would
see
be.
something about him. But yeah, man. So we're going to be talking about. I suggested to you what's going on, which is a very very political album about Vietnam and soldiers coming back from Vietnam and how America treated them, and basically about what was going on over there in Vietnam, and just a lot of stuff. It's a very deep album that takes a lot of listening to kind of vibe of what's going on. But it's a moody album, Like
It
this is the
is.
first. This is one of the first albums. Not that no, I don't think it's the first album I heard because I probably heard an older one. But this is the first one album I heard when I was a kid that my parents had that would play that I really loved because for one thing we just were talking about this whole album sounds like it never stops, and I'm a huge
Yep.
fan of albums and music when they do that because it basically sounds like you're in a concert. The songs blend together. They go from one song to the next song. There's not a lot of like second breaks and gaps between the music. It's just like they just keep flowing. And he had this whole style with this album where he would sing and loop stuff, and it would just over looping and things. It was really cool, man. I think it was amazing. It's definitely one of my favorite albums. But I'll talk a little bit more about it in a bit. But what did you think about it, man? I know you probably heard this before. So what was your
Oh
thoughts
yeah.
about this album, and what
So
did you think about it?
I've definitely heard it.
Hmm.
I probably never sat down and intensely listened to every song all the way through.
Yeah.
I probably had the album on in the background while I'm doing stuff because it's one of those
Hmm.
albums that, because it's continuous, and I guess I would call it a concept album.
Yes, absolutely. It's a concept album for sure.
It's like Pink Floyd's The Wall. There's a
Hmm.
whole. It's like you said, one song stops and the next one starts, and they sound like they go together.
Absolutely.
Like they definitely do the ending starting thing with the songs.
Hmm.
And there's definitely a mood to the whole album because like this to me, this is one of those albums that we'll probably never have again. Where
I 100% agree. Never be
there
another
was
one like this.
there was obviously a composer working with string sections, horn players, these flute
Hmm.
players. Because I mean, there's so much going on in this album, and this is like a classic Motown record where there's like this great production, all these crazy instrumentalists performing, and then
Yep.
this phenomenal singer who's just like blowing it up. And you're like, damn, everything on this album. This is how I'm gonna say it. Modern day producers who sample old records,
Hmm.
you could sample any 10 seconds of this record and make a hit
I agree.
because everything on this record, every moment of the record is good.
Yeah, and people have. There's a lot of samples from this
Oh
album,
yeah.
with a lot of music on here that's been all over the place. It's really crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and I've even heard people call this album like a cycle of songs.
Hmm.
They don't really call it an album. They call it like a cycle of songs because it feels like you said it doesn't really end. It just keeps going.
Yes.
And like it could restart, I think, from the last song to the first song, and you'd still be like into it. You'd be like, oh, all right, here we go again, you know?
Well, I mean, that's actually exactly what happens because the first song and the last song is basically just like a narrative and interpretation of the first song,
Right.
kind of. And like Inner City Blues, I think is
Hmm.
the last song, which is one of my favorite songs. Which no, the last song is What's Going On, I think. But
No,
like
it's Inner City
no,
Blues.
it's Inner City Blues. Okay, right.
Yeah, what's going
Um,
on is the first song.
yeah, yeah. So Inner City Blues. To go back into my creative film school, I used that song to cut a trailer in when I was in film school for like a bank heist movie or something that me and my friends did. And when I cut the trailer for it, I used the whole Inner City Blues opening bit for the trailer, which came out pretty cool.
That's
I
awesome.
love that. Yeah, yeah. It's
That's a
been
great song for that too.
so it's. I mean, there's so many good songs on here, man. I mean, just obviously, what's going on. The title track is one of the greatest songs ever made.
Yep.
Um, Mercy Mercy Me is a classic song. Obviously, Inner City Blues, Flying High in a Friendly Sky. There's so many on here, man.
I
It's a
think
fantastic album.
what's happening, brother, is my favorite song.
Is it nice? Yeah, that's a classic for sure, dude.
It's between that and what's going on because what's going
Hmm.
on is it's hard because that song is like super classic.
Hmm.
So you're kind of like, of course that song's amazing. So you're
Right.
like, and it's like you say, the album starts out with this phenomenal song, and then you're like, well, I also like this other one. So picking a favorite would be hard for me, but I
Hmm.
do like what's going on, what's happening, brother, and Flying High. So the first three songs for me are probably my favorite.
No, for sure. I think that what's going on. That song was originally for the Four Tops. I think that one of the guys from the Four Tops wrote the song because I think he had been talking with his brother about violence and police brutality from like basically that whole song. This whole album came from a member of the Four Tops who had witnessed police brutality at like a war protest, which is kind
Yeah,
of
he was riding on a tour bus, right?
yeah. He was riding on a
I've
tour
heard
bus.
this story. Yeah,
Yeah, he was riding the tour bus, and on the tour bus he witnessed like a protest going on and police brutality, which is so funny because that's happening literally right now in modern day
right now,
time.
right now.
Which is another reason why I thought this would be perfect to talk about. But yeah, he witnessed. I think eventually they called it Bloody Thursday, whatever it was that happened.
Hmm.
But yeah, and so because of that, he wrote this song. And the guys, I think in Four Tops, and I could be wrong. I'm going off of memory, but the guys in Four Tops, I think, didn't want to do it because they thought it would be too political or something like that. They didn't want to do it because they didn't want to start anything. I think
Didn't want to rock the
so.
boat.
Yeah, something like that. So I think the guy had met Marvin Gaye and he gave him the song and said, what do you think about this? And Marvin Gaye liked it immediately and was like, yeah, I'll take the song. Let me do something about it. He basically changed it up a little bit and added his own words and made it what's going on today. I could be. I mean, I'm saying all that, and I could be 100% wrong, but I think I think at least 75% of that is accurate.
No, I'm pretty sure it is too. I've read that story.
Yeah, I think some of that is accurate. But yeah, man. I mean, this album is just one of the most influential albums for music with R&B and hip hop and everything from pop music and even like rock music. Like everybody
Oh yeah.
who listens to music, no matter what type of music you like, has probably listened to Marvin Gaye. What's going on that album?
Well,
It's
I
just a
mean, and
classic, you know.
jazz and soul too.
Oh, absolutely, for sure, dude. But yeah, man. I mean, people who I think people who basically listen to, I mean, everybody. I mean, you can literally pick out anybody, pick out names from my hat from people who were inspired by Marvin Gaye. But I think a lot of people more recently within the years is like John Legend. I think he's like a more recent dude who
I can
kind
see
of
that.
was inspired by Marvin Gaye, but even Luther Vandross, like D'Angelo, Seal,
Seal, yeah, yeah, Seal.
Like CeeLo with like Gnarls Barkley and
Mhm.
like CeeLo's music is heavily and like a lot of his music is solo stuff. Not with Goody Mob is like so R&B and so
Mhm.
soul that you can just tell he's like a big Marvin Gaye dude. Um, I mean, the list goes on and on. Raphael Sadiq, I think, is like another dude. Maze and Frankie Beverly. Um, it's a ton of people, man. His music has influenced people for generations and will continue to because it's just one of those classic artist who everybody just loves and has listened to, you know?
You know, I have a feeling that if you're a musician and you're not influenced by Marvin Gaye,
Hmm.
you have some serious homework you need to do.
I agree, man. I agree 100%. I
Like you're
mean,
missing out on a
how could you not
whole
be?
big section of music.
No, I agree. How could you not be? Yeah, so many classic albums, and it's funny because when I told you that this is the album I want you to check out, you text me back and you were like, "Well, which version of it?" Because there's like three different versions with all these.
Yep.
There's like a deluxe version with like 40 songs. There's
Mhm.
there's a version that has like a whole live version, and I was like, just listen to the original one if you can, if it's available. There's so many different versions of it now, but basically, I went through and I listened to because I was actually listening to it prior to telling you to pick it, and that's what made me want to choose it. Because I was just in a mood for Marvin Gaye. Sometimes I get in those moods. I just need to hear this dude sing. He puts me at ease with his voice. But I listened to the version that had like the live at the I think the Kimberly Center. I think it is.
Mhm.
Or the Kennedy Center.
Yeah, maybe the Kennedy Center.
Yeah, the Kennedy Center. And man, when I say listen to this dude, like if you put that album on and you put it on loud in your house and you're just going around your business doing, cleaning or cooking food, whatever you feel like, you feel like his live music sounds amazing. Like it's so good to like hear him just naturally talk to the crowd and just start singing. He has such a great voice, man, and just start singing out the blue, and it's fantastic. Like his version of Inner City Blues on that Kennedy Center live version is fantastic. I love it so much. I think I
Well, and
might love it better than the actual version, the real version.
he's probably got a bunch of badass Motown musicians with him too in the
Oh
band.
hell yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
Hell
And
yeah.
like the Motown band, like those guys, I think they were called the Funky Brothers.
Yes, they were. Exactly, they were the
Um,
Funky Brothers. Yep.
those dudes, like Jesus, this is
I
probably
know.
some of the greatest musicians to ever live, and I feel like nobody knows who they are.
No, nobody does, dude.
Like nobody.
They're just these Motown dudes, a bunch of them who are just great musicians who
I
just
mean, they
nobody knows who they
probably
are.
played on what Temptations.
A bunch of shit.
You know what I mean? Like the greatest albums in history, and like, does anybody know who they are?
No, but I mean, we can. I'll give you a couple of their names right now, just for the hell of it. So a couple of the members are Richard Allen, who was called Pistol,
Hmm.
Jack Ashford, Bob Babbitt, Benny Benjamin, Eddie Brown, Johnny Griffith, Joe Hunter, James Jamerson, Uriel Jones, Messina, Earl Van Dyke, Robert White, and Eddie
Wow.
Willis. It's a bunch of dudes, all doing different things. The Funk Brothers, 13 guys, man, who basically
Like every record.
made everything that had to do with Motown back in the day. And yeah, you're right. Most people don't know who they are, which is kind of funny and weird.
And I could be wrong about this, but I think Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On"
Hmm.
was one of the early records to be released on an imprint of Motown.
It was. Yeah, you're
It
right
wasn't
about
it
that.
like a T word, like Tamara or to uh, Tame or something.
I don't know what the word is, but
I can't think.
it definitely was. You're right.
Some kind of
Definitely one of
imprint.
the first albums. Let me see if I can find it really quick.
Yeah, it was some type of
Um,
imprint for sure.
but I can't find it right now. But I think you're right though. There was definitely something unique about the album when it came out. Crazy man. But yeah, man. I mean, I love this thing. Like I said, I listen to it all the time. I'm glad you were able to listen to it.
Oh yeah.
Is there any songs on there that you didn't like? I know you already said the ones you do like. Anything on there you didn't like?
Um, there's no songs that I didn't like, but there were
Hmm.
songs that on my third listen I skipped.
Hmm. Like what?
So I wouldn't say I didn't like them. Um, I would say that how do I say it? I'm trying to think how to say it. I'm actually going to go to the album right now
Okay,
because
go
my phone crashed. So one that I actually did skip.
ahead.
Um, man, why won't it? All right, here we go. One that I did skip was actually "Save the Children," and I feel really bad about that.
Oh man, yeah, which is
It's
funny because
awful.
I like that song, but I don't like the beginning of it. Like if you
That's what
listen
it
to it,
is. It's the
if you
beginning.
listen, yes, it's the beginning. If you listen to the whole song, like the back half of the song is amazing. I just don't. I agree with you. I don't like the beginning of the song, but if you listen to it and give it a chance, the back end is just Marvin Gaye riffing, like saying "Save the Children" over and over again. It's really I don't know. It's kind of powerful
Well,
at the end, but the beginning part, I agree with you. I don't really like that much.
I listened to the whole record straight through without,
Yeah,
of course, the first two
without
times.
cutting, right? That's what I
But the
do for sure.
third time, I skipped that one, and
Yeah.
I skipped the one that was really long. Is it?
Is it Holy Holy?
It might be. Let me see. Let's see. I don't know. But there's one that's like 7 minutes, and
Right.
uh, and it just didn't. On the third listen, I couldn't do it.
Huh,
I don't know.
let me see
But
which
every
one.
other song on the album, I like. Every other sound. I mean, like every other one.
Right. No, I feel you,
I'm a
dude.
huge fan of
You said you said
90%
what's
of it.
happening. What you said what's happening, brother? Is probably your favorite song. Next to like what's going on.
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Easy. Oh, it's
Cool.
Right On. Right On's the one that I skipped the
Right
third
on's
time.
the one you didn't like.
Yep. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just that upon listening to it the third time, I
Hmm.
knew the song well enough and was like, I really want to hear the next song.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, no,
Sometimes you get to that point where you're like,
I know exactly what you mean, dude. For sure.
when you're doing it like we are, you're trying to examine it. You're listening to it so intently and so much, like that's active listening. It's not background listening.
Right.
So you get pretty like familiar with everything very quickly, and then it's
Mm.
easy to burn yourself out.
Oh, for sure.
But I will say,
Absolutely.
I still think that 90% of this record I could listen to over and over again, like over and over and over again.
No, absolutely, dude.
Which
I feel the exact same way, which is not. Which just says a lot about an album.
it does, it really does, because even though I love the Rage Against the Machine album,
Hmm.
I could not listen to it over and over and over again.
No,
Not in one day.
that's my whole thing about Rage. Like, I love them, I really do. But it's like to me, and this is me personally, I got to be in a mood to listen to them. Like, like the other day, me and our buddy David, we went to one of the protests, and it just so happened that we were going to a protest, and I was listening to the album like for the last 3 days, so I still was listening to it, and it was the perfect album to have on while riding, going to a protest to support. Um, Black Lives Matter movement, everything going on in the world. So it's like for that, it's like it's amazing. But I feel like you got to be in the mood to listen to it. It amps you up, man. It's not something you can just put on and go about your day. I mean, maybe you can, but I can't. It
Like I could listen to it.
makes you want to get hype.
Like I could definitely see listening to it while riding to a protest. Like
Absolutely.
that's like the perfect soundtrack to that. But I could not listen to that album like 4 times in a week, like
Yeah, it'll
regularly.
be
I would
tough.
listen
Right.
to it like I would say once a month. I listen to that record
Hmm.
easily, maybe more than that. But there are some records I can put on in the background and like do stuff and like still absorb it.
Yeah.
That record's like you got to have your attention on it because it's one of those intense records.
Hmm.
It's not
Absolutely, dude.
something you put on in the background, like in my opinion.
No, I mean, I definitely agree, dude. I think that if you guys ever want to hear something cool with Marvin Gaye, There's two things. There's a video of Dr. Dre, I think, on YouTube. I think me and you talked about this video,
Oh,
Larry,
I love that video.
where Dr. Dre apparently he got like the
The
masters or something
Masters.
from all of Marvin Gaye's music, and there's
Hmm.
a video of him just going like in the studio, going like basically like track by track, layer by layer of listening to like one of Marvin Gaye's songs, and and it's like, and you know Dr. Dre, like he's somebody else who's, even though he's like a huge hip hop guy, super influenced by R&B, soul music of the 60s and
Oh my
70s.
God, yeah.
He loves Marvin Gaye, so there's a great video that's really cool to see him like go layer by layer and like solo stuff and like hear Marvin Gaye on a song with just his voice with no music, and it's just cool.
Hmm.
And you can see like in his face he's like loving that shit like anybody would. That's fantastic. There's also a great song on Jay-Z's soundtrack for American Gangster, titled American Gangster. Um, a song that he has on there that I think is probably one of the best songs he's ever made, in my opinion. That I don't think a lot of people might know if you've never heard it before, but it's called American Dreamin', and he samples like a Marvin Gaye song in that, and it's fantastic. Like to me, it's the best use of like Marvin Gaye's music in a rap song, and anybody out there who likes Jay Z or has never heard that song should just go check it out because it's a great song to listen to. But yeah, man, Marvin Gaye is who he is. We know that he's fantastic. He's one of the greatest of all time, and his music will live forever. He makes forever music. Like, there's not a lot of people who make music forever, and I think Marvin Gaye is in a list of like 100 artists or whatever who it is who music will last, in my opinion, until the end of time,
Oh yeah.
until we all just die.
It's
Like
like
if you send music up into space for aliens to hear what music sounds like for
yeah.
aliens, one of Marvin Gaye's songs will probably be on that playlist.
I feel like, that list, like you said, the 100 artists, it's so funny because he's definitely in the same category as like Metallica and Led Zeppelin. Like those artists
Absolutely,
are
I
never
agree.
not going to exist
I agree.
because
Yeah,
they
I mean,
influence too many
there's
people.
exactly, and it's just the music, man. Like some music that's made in time is just forever, and
Yep.
can never go anywhere. I mean, music lasts forever no matter what because you can always listen to it and find it. But as far as like something people will always be listening to, no matter
Yeah,
their
I mean,
age, no matter what color they
no,
are,
yeah.
no matter anything, is just Marvin Gaye is like somebody that's universally liked by everybody as music.
Yeah, and albums do disappear. Artists disappear. Like
Yeah, for sure.
there's artists in the 90s that had a few good songs that we'll
Hmm.
never hear again on the
True.
radio or in a
True.
car commercial, you know what I mean? But Marvin
Hmm.
Gaye, 50 years from now, his song will be in a Honda Civic commercial or a Bentley commercial, something.
No, absolutely. He's one of those people that we always talk about. At some point in our near future, they're going to start doing like holographic concerts of artists, and I feel like Marvin Gaye would be one of those guys
Oh,
that
definitely.
that they would be like, okay, we have like 10 people to put in concert, and
Probably sell out.
yeah, yeah, like for the white people, we got Elvis, we got John Lennon, we got whatever. For black people, we got Marvin Gaye, we got Prince. That's basically what they'll do. It'll be like for every race for whatever music, they'll have people, and definitely they'll have Marvin Gaye at the top of that list for people to see him in
Well, I'm
concert
going to the
in
Marvin Gaye and Prince
holographic.
ones.
Oh man, I want to see fucking Marvin Gaye and Prince along with like fucking John Lennon. Wouldn't that be a cool concert? But but yeah,
Yeah, I
man.
mean,
So it'll be fantastic. Who knows, dude?
yeah, I'm sure that is going to be the next thing.
Oh, it's coming. I guarantee it's coming.
I
I
mean,
mean,
they did it with Tupac.
they already did it with Tupac, and that was like years ago. So
Yeah.
technology is definitely working its way with virtual reality here and all these different things. I'm pretty sure
Well,
at
and the
one point
Gorillas are
there'll
doing
be.
stuff like that live.
Yeah, I
They've
think
done
it's coming.
holograms.
I think it's coming, dude. It'll definitely be here in the future. Any way for people to make money, they'll figure it out
I agree.
off of the blood of dead people, whatever.
True.
So yeah, man. So I'm glad you dug this album.
Oh, yeah.
I knew you had already heard it. I knew you would like it. You're a music guy, so there's no way you wouldn't like it. But
True.
yeah, it was dope, man. So that's it, guys. I mean, we have Rage Against the Machine's Evil Empire and Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. I hope we talked about these albums as good as we can, knowledgeable, um, and I hope you dug it. Please go listen to these albums again. We're working on getting a Spotify playlist, so you guys can go check these albums out on our Spotify account at some point. But we're going to keep on rocking, man. This is episode 2 of the Death Note podcast. Any closing words you want to say, Larry? Or are we good to get out of here, man?
Oh, we're good.
Nice. And remember, guys, Black Lives Matter, and
Yep.
there's a lot of stuff going on in the country right now. Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Continue to protest. Continue to to do what you guys are doing, and we hope the world comes around. And it's time for a change, man. Marvin Gaye, and Rage Against the Machine were both about changing America and changing the world. So I think that these were two good albums for us to pick for right now. So we're gonna close it on that, and we'll see you guys next time with episode 3. We don't know what we're gonna be talking about yet, but you'll figure it out. And keep on rocking and digging in the crates, guys. And we're out of here.
Peace.